let's talk about ad hoc analysis and authoring, which is one of the main features of analytics tools. Both products, Tableau and Power BI, do a great job with ad hoc analysis. However, I want to show you in this next example why Tableau is considered the gold standard or the best-in-class analytics solution out there. So let's take a look at the products. And here we have them side by side. What I'm going to do is to build a new chart or dashboard from scratch, and I want to see sales by salesperson sorted on a descending order. I want to see profitability by salesperson, in which salespeople are meeting my profitability quota of 50%. So I'm going to build those views on both tools. I'm going to start with Power BI. So I'm going to choose sales and salesperson. And right there, the first part of my question is answered by Power BI very nicely. It shows by salesperson, sales on a descending order. Let's see in Tableau, I'm going to choose sales and salesperson. And in this case, Tableau actually sorted the salesperson by alphabetical order. So different decisions by the products, but sorting, it's a very popular feature. People do sorting a lot. And let me show you how easy it is to change on both products, how you can change the sorting. One of the things Tableau does really well, overall, most of the time is if you want to find an answer to a new question, go where you would expect the answer and try some actions in that part. Click, right click, and see if you get what you need to do next to get the answer to your question. So in this case, in the Tableau side, if you want to sort this by sales, I go to here in sales and I have here an icon that is the sort icon. If I click on it, I'm sorting sales on a descending order. If I click again, it sorts on an ascending order. If I click again, I go back to alphabetical order. Very intuitive, point and click. I go where I was expecting and I can do my action right there. Very easy. What if I want to do something similar in Power BI? Suppose I want to see a different order. I want to see alphabetical order. Should I go to here and try to click and change, or here, or here, or here? Nope, none of these places. It's not exactly where naturally I would expect. Fortunately, it's kind of easy as well. It's actually inside of the chart, but it's in this top right corner where you have more options. Maybe it's here. Yes, it is here. You click more options, and you're going to find right here, sort by sales. You click this, and now it goes to alphabetical order. So go here, click, you sort descending, click again, alphabetical. What if I want to sort ascending? Well, let's try that again. It's not apparently here. Actually, it is, but it's not so intuitive because this line actually has two different icons. The right will toggle between what you're looking and the alphabetical order. In the left, you can change between ascending and descending. So if I click here, this icon again, now I go ascending. If I go and click again, I go descending. So it is there. It is fairly easy. However, the first time that I learned this, I learned that I could sort things, yes, but I forgot, or maybe I didn't get it, that actually this was two different icons. And when I tried to sort in a different order than the default, I actually had to Google. I have to actually search in the internet to see how can I change that. It was right here, but it was not so obvious. So, little differences that for a power user, someone that is very busy, that doesn't have much time to learn these things, they can forget, they can be frustrated and give up on trying to come up with the answer to their questions on the fly. Okay, moving on. Well, I got the answer to one part of my question, which is sales by salesperson at descending order. Now I want to see gross profit percentage. So in Power BI, I click gross profit percentage. And what happens is it adds bars for gross profit percentage. But because the gross profit percentage is a very small amount comparing to millions, this chart is pretty much not telling me anything. I cannot make any decision looking at this chart. Let's see in Tableau. I add gross profit percentage, and right there I have a very good insight that I have a good idea of how profitable each of these salespeople are visually. So kudos, great job, Tableau in this case. Now, how can I have a view that is similar to this one in Power BI? It's absolutely possible. So let's see what else we need to do. There are different ways we could answer this question in Power BI or in Tableau. What I want to do is to find a way that a business people with little, training and remembering things would be able to figure it out. So I'm going to take a direction that was of my choosing. I think it's a fairly easy one. This was a direction that I actually found out to do. And actually is by selecting a different chart representation. Any one of these two can do the trick. So I'll have to learn, and actually was by searching the internet that I found this answer. I clicked this one. And I also have to know that because these two measures have very different amounts, you have to move one of them to line. Once I learn those things, then the chart is really informative. It tells me a great story where I see the bars for sales and the profitability in the line, each one having a different axis to represent those amounts. So very nicely done once I get to this point. Okay, so now both reports are kind of showing the same thing, but hey, how can I change Tableau to show like Power BI in this case? In Tableau, what you do is you go with the mouse where you would expect to find the answer to this question. You want to put gross profit on the right axis. You go to gross profit here, right click, and there it is. You find dual axis, you click it, and you get dual axis. I'm not using full screen, so this looks a little weird. So let me get a little bit more room. There it is. So gross profit on the right, sales on the left. And now I have the same perspective. However, I like the bars for sales. How can I change the bars? These orange, bubbles, I want to change to bars. What do? You go with the mouse where you have the action and right click on it and see what happens. Right there, I have mark type and I can change the bar and there it is. What if I want to try to change this to circles or to a line? You can change many things. You pretty much, in this visualization, you have bar and line, and that's pretty much about it. You cannot change the colors. I mean, you can change the colors, but you cannot put colors as a measure to change the color based on a measure here. So it's more limited, the options that you have here. So I couldn't change this to circles. I couldn't change this to anything else. You don't have that flexibility unless you know how to do things a lot more complex. In Tableau, I was very easy able to change. Now, if I look at this chart here in Power BI, I might not get any interesting or intriguing insights from it. It looks pretty good. If I go to Tableau and I try to see the same thing, I am intrigued by why I have this big white area below my bars. Why is that? Let's scroll to the right, see if we see anything interesting there. Oh, look at that. The reason is because this salesperson has a very negative profitability. Why I don't have the same perspective? Because Power BI put the zeros not aligned. And then until you look more closely, you might, if you scroll to the right, you might realize that one salesperson has about zero profitability. It's actually very negative. And this can be a little confusing if you're not really paying attention, while with Tableau here, it was actually begging you to ask the question why we have the white area. And by having this question, you would find out is because some salespeople have actually very negative profitability, and that could be a problem in your analysis. Now, one thing that is a little annoying here right now, because especially I'm using a small, screen here to share both, is I don't like the formatting that Tableau chose. How can I change it? What you do, you go in the context, put the mouse over here, and give it a try. Right click, and right there I have format, and I can change the format by coming to this pane. And now I'm going to put a currency. I'm going to use millions. Take decimals, and now it's looking much cleaner. What if I would like to change the axis labels here in Power BI? Should I go here where it is and right click and point and click? Nope, you can't do that. Actually, you have to go outside and learn that this format icon here can change a lot of the formatting capabilities of Power BI. Some formatting is on the ribbons here and here, but this one is more popular. So kind of easy as well, but is not in the flow as is Tableau. So in this case, if I want to change, I would have to go to y-axis, because I'm looking at the y-axis, and go here and let's say change to thousands, for instance. So it's very intuitive overall, but it's not in the flow as it is with Tableau. Okay, next. I have salesperson sales and I have profitability, but I want to know easily which ones are above the quota of 50%. I want to use visualization techniques to do that. There are many ways this question can be answered. Can create some measures to show above 50 as a positive number, below 50 as a negative number, but that's kind of complicated for many power users. I want to show something that visually is easy to build and is easy to find the answer to this question. So color is something that usually can be very good to address that kind of, highlighting these different trends. So let's start with Tableau. I'm going to close my formatting pane, and I want to make these bubbles different colors. Actually, by right-clicking, in this case, I do not see the answer, but I want to take the percentage and change colors. The percentages, here's my measure. The color is right here, so I can just drag and drop percentage into my color shelf. I'll get this new color representation. Let me get to the bottom to get more room. And right now, orange is unprofitable, blue is very profitable. But I only want to have two colors, above 50% and below. How can I change it? Where I go, I put the mouse in my colors, right here, legend. I right click. Guess what? I can edit it. And then I just use the wizard. I have a stepped color, so I only have two colors. And I want them to be centered in 0.5. So above 50% is blue, below is orange. Very easy, very straightforward, right in the flow. I was able to change this representation, and now this chart is give me the complete answer to the question that I asked at the very beginning of this exercise. Clean, simple, visual. On the flow, I was able to build it just by pretty much going what I wanted. In Power BI, to do this, it's not obvious. It takes a lot more clicks and different turns. The direction that I'm going to take right now is the one that I found a good way to answer the question. Again, there are many ways to find the same perspective, but I'm trying to find one visually that doesn't require too much complex techniques. So let's try that using Power BI to have the same thing. So I'm going to get out of this view because this representation, I cannot use colors for saturation. I can't. This visualization does not allow that at all. I have to create a second chart that will give me that perspective. So in the second chart, what I'll do is I'll show gross profit by salesperson. So I'm going to put them, kind of one on top of the other. And right now it's being sorted in a descending order by gross profit percentage. I actually want to sort this descending by sales so both charts are aligned. How can I do that? This kind of sorting is not obvious. Not even Tableau is not obvious to do that. But because here in Power BI, I have to go through this direction, I have to learn how to do it. So in this case, I'm going to take sales, put in my tooltips, and because I have sales in my tooltips again, because I have sales in my tooltips, now I can sort by sales, and now I have aligned each salesperson with the same at the top. So they're completely aligned now. And now I'm going to change the color saturation of the second chart. So I'm going to take gross profit percentage, drag and drop in my color saturation, and I need to make it just two colors. So I go to the formatting. It's all outside of this view. Go to the formatting, and then I want to change colors. I want to do diverging, starting on brown, going to blue, where my center is 0.5. And to make it really only two colors, I'll have to make 0.4999 and 0.5111. And by doing this, now I have this representation that also answered the question of showing sales by salesperson in descending order. And I have gross profit as a line and also as a bar, and the ones showing profitability above 50% as blue and below as brown. And in Tableau is a simpler representation. The main point of this exercise is to show you that most of the times when a business person, a power user, has a new question about this data representation, usually the action to address a question is in the flow in Tableau. You go to whatever you're thinking, and usually you click or right-click, and more often than not, you will get the answer to what you should do now to get to that answer. While in Power BI, quite often you have to actually go in different directions, and you're not looking at the same information. You have to go somewhere else to find the feature to answer that question. These are small differences that for business analysts is not a big deal. These people will learn the tool in and out. They'll learn eventually all these things. It takes a little bit more time in Power BI overall. So in the long run, that can be add up. But for business people that don't have time, that grow frustrated when they cannot do something, and I have many of my business people that told me, Johnny, every time that a business person has to learn a new feature or they have to do an extra click to get something done, we lose traction. So the easier the tool, the more quickly, the less clicks, the less learning that these business people have to do, the more traction we get, the more return we get from the tool. And that's why Tableau is still best in class. They go a long way doing that. And this sentence kind of summarizes their philosophy. Actually, as they built Tableau from the beginning and they continue today, they use psychologists and graphic designers to understand how people deal with visual data and how they process it. So every time that Tableau is adding a new feature to the product, they think really hard with psychologists, graphic designers, with users to see if this feature is very popular, and if it is, how can we insert it in the flow to allow people to use it intuitively. If the feature is not so popular, then yes, you can put it, on a little bit behind, a little bit farther away. But they have consistently done these decisions of making the tool to be really intuitive. And I've been looking at several BI solutions, Power BI, Tableau, Domo, ClickView, Spotfire, many others. And Tableau continues to be by far the leader when it comes to ease of use and being intuitive for decision makers. And that's why they continue to be the best in class.